Welcome, everyone. I'm Amy Seeley, president of Seeley Test Pros and Leap, helping students to succeed in all kinds of tests from 8th grade to grad school throughout Ohio.
And I'm Mike Bergen, president of Chariot Learning and TestBright, helping students and teachers alike exceed their educational goals based out of Rochester, New York.
Between the two of us today, we have over 65 years of experience at the highest levels of the test preparation and supplemental education industries.
We both love to talk and learn about the latest issues in education, testing, and admissions. So let's get down to tests and the rest. The fascinating topic we want to explore today is ourselves. Welcome to the August 2026 edition of EXTEMP with Amy and Mike. Hello there, Amy.
Hey there, Mike. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I am, as we speak, this is the 21st of August, and I have finished working with all of my students for the
All the
August
SAT students are in the
right?
bag.
Has this not been a really busy month for you?
It has. I know the SAT, it's like, whoa, it's tomorrow. And by the way, I should say, so many SAT students. I was looking back and realizing almost all of my students this summer actually have been SAT students, which for me in Ohio is actually really different. Like a lot of SAT prep over this summer, as opposed to ACT prep, which is interesting for
Yeah,
me.
it's interesting. Most of my students are SAT students, but interestingly, most of my students are not New York students. Even though most of
Mm.
Chariot Learning students are New York students, I'm working with students across the US, in just about every time zone, and also outside of the US. And I mean, I really, not to besmirch anyone I've ever worked with before, but I can't remember a stronger, more interesting group of students.
You've had some really high scores. Although
That's the
sadly, some reports. Literally, I had a student last night who's in Texas who just found out her SAT was canceled and rescheduled for tomorrow.
It's funny because the August SAT is so vulnerable to last minute closings, and we
From
know
schools.
why. It's not because of the College Board, it's
No.
because, especially in places like New York, where school hasn't started yet, they
Hmm.
just don't want to show up.
Yeah.
They're like, you know what? I don't start until after Labor Day. I
And
don't
you
want
know
to
what
come
they
in.
did is they rescheduled her test for the end of September and she's already registered for the October. So I said to her, ask for a refund because there's no reason you would take the test on a Saturday and the next Saturday. So
Well, why not?
that's
Actually,
well,
why not? Like
she is
multiple, if she's a senior,
she's a junior.
I may,
So just
oh,
so
if she's a junior,
she's a
yeah.
junior and this is her first time. So that was the reason why I said, yeah, that seems silly. You're right, absolutely. If it were a senior, totally different recommendation, which is interesting, right? This brings up a point. What we recommend to students, one, changes
Yeah,
throughout the year,
right.
depending upon what grade you're in, right? I have to sort of constantly remind my team the recommendations we give at one point in the year will change because who the student is, what their goals are, where they're at, how many more opportunities to test. Like
Oh,
right now,
absolutely.
more SAT opportunities than you have ACT opportunities if you're a senior.
Yeah, if you're the parent of a student heading into senior year who hasn't locked down that score yet, you can't really be picky about test dates or
Mhm.
even tests, right?
Yeah.
Like if you're pretty close on the SAT and ACT, prep more for one than the other, but put them all on. At a certain point, you have to play the day, not the
Hmm.
test,
Yeah.
especially if you have that pressure of an early action, early decision deadline.
Yeah. But I am really interested because, like you, a lot of my SAT students right now are definitely in that, like they're pushing the 1500 or above. And that's always an interesting group as we enter, like get to the
So,
finish line
such a
of like testing
fun
season, right?
group. Although I wrote about this in Tutor the newsletter,
Perfectionism.
how
Was that the one about
yeah,
perfectionism?
yeah,
Yes.
two of my students, both scoring higher than 1500 on their last practice test before the
They
August test,
decided not to take the
canceled the test.
test.
They're like, not good
Oh,
enough. And I'd say that's the
I could
opposite of
hear,
not good
I
enough.
could hear you in that newsletter painfully recounting
Ah,
that story or the stories of those two students. Yeah.
I had to vent because I couldn't say everything I wanted to say to the students or their parents, but
Yeah.
I just, it hurts me. It hurts me to see students paralyzed with the fear of failure when they're actually succeeding so wildly. They're
Hmm.
just to set almost impossible standards
Yeah.
for their desire to move forward. ignoring the idea that if you're scoring a 1520, a 1530, you're just questions away from
The
perfect.
thing
And
is,
and
sometimes
you
you're
never
rolling a dice.
know
You don't
what
know if you're
day.
going to get a better test, and so you didn't roll
Yes.
your dice that day. That's how I look at it, which is
And if
a
you
bummer.
don't roll your dice, you cannot win.
You
You
cannot
like you
win.
gotta play the game to win. If you want to win the game, you just can't put it off.
Yeah, it's certainly a frustration with what we do. Is right. Obviously, we can give advice, based upon our experience and what we've observed. But at the end of the day, the student or the family has to make their
Yes.
decision. Yeah.
And honestly, that's another thing about the advice you give. Like one of them was a junior, one of them is a senior. The junior,
Uh,
that's fine. Like
looks a little
if you
different.
gotta do it, I don't think it's good for you psychologically, but
Hmm.
you've got a lot more options ahead of you. The
Yeah.
senior, I understand why he did it, but I certainly disagree with all of his choices, and I explained to him why. But at the end of the day, luckily, College Board gives us this
Yeah.
September test right after the August, and we have the
Yeah.
October, so you still have some shots at goal.
Although these next couple weeks aren't really a respite, are they? Because now we get into there's another SAT looming. There's an ACT right after that.
Yeah.
So it's a busy month with lots of stuff going on. And you are busy, but yet you are going to take a little break next week to head to New York City. So what are you doing heading to New York City next week?
You're right about the respite part. There is no break from prep in this cycle. I just had that conversation hours ago
Mhm.
in a meeting. But I have to go to New York City from upstate New York. It's a drive I've done many, many, many times in my life. It never gets shorter. But this time, carrying a heavy load, and it is the burden and
Making a
also
special delivery?
the blessing of bringing my daughter down. She transferred from UVM to Hunter College, and we're bringing her to orientation to move in her dorm.
She getting excited?
She's excited. What's not exciting is that Hunter College, for all the great things I might say about it, they provide no information. We are literally days from moving in, and she doesn't know who her roommates are.
It's interesting how
Can
different
you believe that?
colleges manage things very, very differently.
I
Yeah.
mean, I was explaining to Sarah that if it was one of the high-priced private schools, our concierge would be explaining to us where to pull up so they could remove all of the material, bring it up, and do turn down service in the dorm. We've got this situation where
And
she's
you're in the
got orient.
city. I mean, you're
So listen to this. We're in the city. She's got orientation a full day before move-in, and she doesn't get to move in until 6 o'clock at night. And I was like, well, ask her if you can change it because it's weird for us to sit around all day trying to get in. And they're like, we can't get anybody.
so I this it's I every college manages this differently. And I also wonder
Yeah.
not, to is do colleges treat transfers differently, like move-ins than like a
It,
freshman?
it
I
seems like they
certainly
do.
think they
I
cater
don't
more to
know.
freshmen. I think that's definitely a truth.
I mean, they should cater more to freshmen because this is a much bigger step. If you're a transfer, you've been through this before.
Hmm.
Not your
Hmm.
first
But it's
rodeo.
still
Not to
frustrating,
say you shouldn't have support. I mean, these
right?
are really basic things. If you don't know who your roommates are, then you don't know who's bringing what.
Hmm.
Who's bringing the toaster? Who's bringing the bath mat? Like,
Right. The
there's
coordination
redundancy.
of it from a practical perspective, right?
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
this is making me think, just as like a note, obviously my Katie transferred.
Mhm.
This is Mike and I, we've been saying this. Someday we're going to get our kids on for an episode.
Yes. Talking
We
about
should have
transferring.
Ivy
Yeah.
and Katie on eventually to be like, what have you learned about transferring? And
Yeah.
from Mike and Amy's daughters. Wouldn't that be awesome?
It
That
would
sounds
be
like a
so
fun.
fun.
That would be a
Yeah,
fun episode, right? Exactly.
absolutely.
But I want to wait to hear because obviously Katie went from living on a campus to she's now a commuter. So getting her own apartment, setting up independently. Now in Ivy's case, just transferring to another institution, but in the city. So
Yes.
we'll have to sort of put a pin on that, maybe more towards maybe once she's fully embraced the transfer life of what her experience was
Once
being
we've
there.
unpacked the unpacking experience.
Unpack the unpacking. Yes. So prepare her. She should be taking notes for us, is what you need to tell Ivy. Okay.
Yeah, I will. I'll
Yeah.
let her know
So,
that because she won't have anything else on her mind.
no, she will not.
No, but the going down to New York is great just because I have so much family, so many friends
Hmm.
down there, so many more than in Rochester. I mean, I have a
Yeah.
lot of great friends
Yeah.
in Rochester, but so many of my family members.
She's not going to a foreign place, like as you know.
I mean, she will see more friends down there than she saw at school. Like a bunch of students from Vermont want to go down,
Mhm.
friends that she made in Barcelona want to go down, there are friends who
Because
go
now
to
she's
other
in a
schools.
city. She's in a very desirable
When you're in
location.
a ma yes, when you're in a major metro, that's just a crossroads where people are likely to encounter each other.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
So this is exciting. And so, yeah, I'm looking forward to going down. And our plan is if you ever get a chance, this is not in the top 20 things you do in the New York City metro area, but one of the coolest places is about an hour or so north of New York City.
Hmm.
And it's called Storm King. And it's a giant outdoor art installation. They
Hmm.
have they have sculptures, massive sculptures in huge fields. Like it's a lot of space and it's gorgeous. On a summer day, it's one of the coolest things you could do. And we're meeting some family there on Monday. So just in
Oh,
a few
nice.
days on our way down. I haven't been there in decades,
Oh,
and I'm really
cool.
looking forward to it.
Oh, fun. That's
Again, it has to
awesome.
do with how I love upstate New York. And
Sure.
that is far enough. It's north of White Plains, so in
Oh,
my
okay.
mind, it's upstate New York.
You know, when I say upstate, I don't even know what I'm
Yeah.
talking about.
Yeah, no, upstate. Anything north of like the
Albany. I don't
Cross
know.
Westchester Expressway is upstate New York.
This is, I'm not geographically challenged, but for some reason, when it comes to upstate New York, I don't know what it is. It's a big state. There's a lot of cities in there.
It's a big state. Most of it is considered upstate.
Okay, good. Then maybe I'm not totally wrong.
Yeah, exactly. Now, how about you? You've been very busy. I mean, you've been traveling like crazy. And you just finished a really big project.
Yeah, I did. So we have been working, my team and I, on getting our HSPT on demand program completely revamped, right? We recorded it in 2020 with COVID because that was pretty easy to do when we were on Zoom. And of course, now looking back, there's so many ways in which you want to make a program you have more effective. We have a bunch of schools that we work with. So there's ways in which we're going to hopefully be able to offer this to grade schools to be able to use. And so, well, you know, like once you get all, you have to deconstruct it, you got to plan it out. There's, you know, the favorite part is obviously you get all the PowerPoints and then you
Yeah.
start to record, right? Which is hilarious for me because obviously nobody gets to see me when you and I record these podcasts. I'm not a girl anymore that really like gets makeup on and like gets prepared to be on screen. But of course, when your visage is going to live in
Uh-huh.
perpetuity.
I mean, Zoom has some filters for that.
It does. It does. And it actually, it's very gratuitous, those filters usually. But, you know, I have to like get all dressed up, do my hair,
Sure.
my makeup, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
Do the
right.
recordings.
Like, of course.
And then there's nothing worse than you start a recording and you make a mistake and you're like, oh no, I
The
got to
whole
go
thing.
all the way back
You've
again.
got to
Now,
learn to edit. You've got to
yeah,
learn to splice.
luckily,
Yeah.
these videos are like 6 minutes to maybe 13 minutes, but you know, you're trying to be super efficient and effective with your recording. So super happy to say it's all locked and loaded.
You've got to feel so good. I've done
So
it.
it's a
I've
great project.
created video
You did that a few
courses,
years ago. Yes.
and it's an awful look. I can't say that it's as painful as giving birth to a child.
No, you cannot.
I
Thank
don't
you
have
for
that
acknowledging
experience.
that, Mike.
Yeah, but the process, as you describe it, right? All the pieces and the trying to speak to the camera, which is really hard because, you and I both take energy from the people
We
that we're
do.
speaking with, and to not have an audience makes the whole experience that much harder.
Right. Yeah, but it's so a dream realized. So now onward to the next on-demand program, which is the ISEE. So actually now I got to start. We're revamping
I
that.
can't wait
And
to offer the spotlight on
yes,
your
well, I never
HSPT
thought about
program.
that exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for the suggestion. Remember, I'm always trying to figure out the angles, Mike. So you just gave me another one.
I already figured
You
that out.
teed me up for
You
that,
had that
right?
in mind. You're like,
Right.
of course, that's the next step.
Actually, what's kind of funny is that what we want to talk about today, actually, that's a good lead in here is, me
Mhm.
kind of this project, right? This project, which I don't want to say was all consuming. I have team members that are helping me, which is why actually to be able to do it was possible. But in terms of like what this took for me was something that's kind of a habit that I'm really, really trying to build. And that is, very often, I don't know if you can experience, like, think about this, is I live day to day. Like, we live day to day in our
Hmm.
businesses, like just doing the work. They say, what is the cliche? You got to work on your business, not in your business.
Yes.
And we do that because obviously working with students, the work of that, it continues, it never ends. We're always marching on to that next group of kids. But this idea of taking a step back and imagining things that you don't have or you haven't created or would make your business better or serve your clients, even more thoroughly or fully. And so I think one of the reasons why this particular project is meaningful is because one habit I really have been really trying to be intentional on is to always have what's the next thing I'm working on? What's the next
Right.
thing as opposed to living every day doing the work,
Yes.
right? And so I feel like, in that sense, to step back and say, wow, we imagined it, we did it, we can see it, we can share it, we can get feedback now. So I was going to say, like, that's for me, feeling like, oh, always having the next project, the next thing that you're kind of going to push out for yourself or push out for the business. That to me is a big deal. And so that's like a habit that I continue to try to work on. My problem is probably sometimes too many projects, too many ideas, right? Which I know
That's
sometimes
one of the
you
habits that I had to
you have
adopt.
that
I had
habit.
to adopt the habit of not doing everything that came into mind. And actually, I like that. Like my habit now, my system is to not add anything new unless I take something off.
Oh, that's part of actually that book. What if I could just remember it? It might be that like there's so many minutes or so many hours in your
Something like
life.
that.
That
I
book, there's a
yeah.
book, and one of the things is to make these lists. And then you have to be aware that if you're going to add something, very often something has to leave the list. And I think that's actually really important because I think it's just really easy. You and I know from having done the Highlands ability test, right?
Yeah.
Knowing things about ourselves. I think ideas. You and I
Yes.
love having ideas. If
We
people
love
only
having
could
ideas.
listen to our off recordings,
Our
the
ideation
things
sessions. Yes.
which we're funny because we feed off each other, I think, then when we do that. But you and I can't. We could get caught up in all the ideas. But a good habit is to realize when to sort of know what are the, don't keep adding to the list. Got to pick and choose, got to prioritize. I think the good news sometimes in our industry is some things are easier to prioritize because we know when they're coming. Like we know when something's going to hit or land and when we have to pull back because it's test prep season and we're really busy tutoring and maybe that's not the
Well, right, but what happens, yeah, and this is a good kind of comment on planning, is that we have certain exigencies. There are certain things that can't be put off, and
mm-hmm,
then we build around them.
mm-hmm,
And so it's nice to have that rhythm, but it's also you have to recognize that it's easy to come up with an idea that just gets pushed further and further back. That's another thing. You just finished a project, and it's great that you finished it because 50% of the trouble in a project is the last 10%. Like
it
how many
always is,
things
right?
make it to 90% and don't get finished because so much of the pain of finishing it
Mm-hmm.
accrues to the last stage, the
That
editing, the
last little
nailing
bit of
everything down, that
right.
final. And also, sometimes we are just not ready to finish it. That's
Well,
why I think a good habit that anybody in any walk of life that does any kind of work should adopt is to commit to the minimum viable project.
mm-hmm.
Don't incubate it until you think it's perfect.
Yeah. Well, the nice thing though about some of these like systems we're using is that we can make edits and changes to it. Like we can move things around. We can add components. Like we're really
That's
happy
the
with what we have.
exactly.
And
It's not
that's
you're not shipping it off to the printer to ship to
correct.
print thousands of copies that you might throw out
That's a
if you got a
huge
word wrong.
difference, by the way, in the way we work, because you're right. When you go, I have to print up 1,000 versions of these because I'm going to get a great deal for my printer. That is one of the beautiful things about these things that kind of live online or in these systems is that you can go in and I can go in and record a new video, pull one, add a new one, whatever, which
Prototyping, right? I taught two boot camps last week, and I was teaching one. I was like, you know what? There's something wrong with the reading part here. I want to fix it. I wrote new pages. I printed them. I just reprinted the pages
mhm.
for the next group. And I told them at the beginning, we're going to be trying out some new material, but you're not going to know what it is. But I got the field test that I wanted, and I
That's
didn't have
nice.
to print any more than the number that I needed for the students in front of me.
Yeah,
And
that's
it was
really
great. And so
nice to be
now
able to do that.
the next run, I'm going to integrate this, and I'm really happy with it.
But that is what's nice too, of even like online sharing materials or resources with our students digitally, is you can update that copy and the
Yeah,
next version they get is hot off the presses, right?
that's
Which
it.
is really,
Totally.
really lovely. Yeah, for sure.
So
Yeah.
really good. These are good systems. The habits that I have focused on cultivating have been kind of personal habits in terms of like the constant habit of getting some kind of exercise in each
I keep
day.
thinking about this. You said this before. You said you like to do something every day for mind, body, and spirit, correct? If I'm
Yeah,
remembering correctly.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I feel like if that's the commitment, it's not like I get to do exercise, whether I'm working out or I'm doing the treadmill, I'm doing push-ups or something. It's not like I do it every single day, but I do it almost every day. And any day that I don't, I feel bad. And that's a good habit. If the habit is because, when it comes to exercise or working out, we have to force ourselves to do it, right? It's easier
Hmm.
to stay in bed. It's easier to do something else for an hour or whatever. But if you change the way you feel, because the things about habits is they become ingrained and we want to
Hmm.
do them.
Yeah.
We feel weird if we don't. We almost have to consciously break the habit.
Yeah.
So, right, it's encouraging positive habits.
Yeah.
That is the trick. That's the hack.
Yeah. Well, that's like, I'm not there yet, but I'm almost at a year of working out 3 times a week
Yeah.
with a trainer. I'm going to be super excited when I get to that year marker to be like, oh my God, I've done this for 1 year. But what's been so interesting to me about that is the habit, what reinforces keep not breaking it
Hmm.
is having a coach or a trainer, right? Like
If you need
every
it,
time
right?
I know, I mean, it is reinforced so much how a person looking over you, giving suggestions, telling you to make adjustments, encouraging you
Yes.
when you're really struggling, or I kind of my knee bothered me for a few months, and so she readjusted what we were doing, and then just this past week we said, I think we're ready to start. We can do things to, you know, the knee is ready for going back to what we've been doing. And I love that because it's put me in my students' shoes of what is it like to have somebody who's sort of a coach, accountability,
Yeah.
motivator, cheerleader,
You got to
telling
be
you when you're doing a great
coachable. If you want
job.
to succeed, you've got to be coachable. You've got to be willing to take feedback from
And one of
somebody.
my favorite things about this, and I'll say this right here. So the coach I have was referred to me by our friend Susan Powers, who's been on the
Yeah.
podcast. And what's funny is, this, like, she doesn't pit us against each other in that, but every so often,
Ah, ha, ha.
our trainer will tease a little something out. And Susan and I, at least I'm not competitive, but it's a very healthy, like, oh, like she'll say something where I'm like, oh, well, that's good to know where I am relative to, like, because
That's
it's
funny.
actually, for me, it's encouraging when I'm like, oh,
Yes.
I'm getting there, or I'm past Susan, you know. But there was one day our planking when I told Susan how long I was planking for, and she's like, what? I'm like, yeah. But
That's great.
again, it's this idea of understanding a habit of having another person who helps or coaches you, and what a difference it makes in where you find like where I find myself today versus where I was, a year ago, which is amazing.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Here's a bit of wisdom from John Dryden. First, we make our habits, then our habits make us.
Yes. Yeah. That's great. All this wisdom you share with me, Mike.
I mean, that's
I'm
just
really into the
borrowed
Stoics
wisdom.
these days. The
Yeah.
Stoics are really impressing me. I'm getting a lot of that. So,
That's a
you
great
put me on to
habit
that.
cultivating. Yeah.
I'm
Stoicism.
cultivating the Stoicism, which I
I
feel
love it.
is
It can only
very
make you
helpful.
happier.
Yep,
Stoics
100%.
can only help us appreciate our lives more.
I think I will not disagree with that as I've learned more. In the beginning, I was sort of suspect, like, what is he talking about reading? And I'm like, oh, I may become my own Stoic philosopher one day.
Great. I'll read that.
Oh, so let's see. Onward to September. What do you have going on in September?
So September, I mean, besides work-wise, right? Tons of students coming through Chariot Learning, t students I'm working with personally for the September SAT, the September ACT. I have a wedding at the beginning of September that I'm excited to go to. It's Sarah's side of the family, and it's going to be a lot
Mhm,
of people that we haven't seen in a long time. So it's
mhm.
like a cousin's daughter who I haven't seen her in so long.
Oh,
I'm really
wow.
excited. She's getting married. It's going to be near Scranton. So that'll be a really good time in the beginning of my wedding season. And I've got, back to Test Bright tutor training in September.
Mm,
The summer, everybody's too busy for training, but
right.
now we're going to start up in September again. And just, I think September will be a really great month. Also, I'm hoping that by the end of September, I know if my potatoes came in.
Oh, it could be potato season
It could be. I mean,
when
tomato
we
season
speak
just keeps
next.
going. My tomatoes don't stop. So the things that I planted a bunch of things
Farmer
that
Mike.
should be coming in September and October, and I'm looking forward
That's
to it.
right. We're entering the what, like the reaping,
The harvest
the
season. Yes,
harvest.
the reaping.
Reap what you sow,
The
harvest. Oh
reaping.
no.
Sounds like a horror
The
movie.
reaping. The reaping. Mike the Reaper.
How about you? What's coming up in September for you?
Well,
Are you staying stateside or what? Where are you going next month?
it wouldn't be a month that could go by that Amy isn't going somewhere. No, Colorado. And you're
Yeah.
not going. I mean, so we
I
have our little
know. I
Western
know.
Adventure Club. I
I
know.
regret that I can't make the Western Adventurers Club
I'm actually
meeting this
holding,
year.
I don't want to make you feel FOMO, but no, it's exciting. I'll be going out to another national park. So hitting Rocky Mountain National
I'm
Park, heading to
so
Steamboat,
jealous. You're gonna have such a
mid
blast.
month. And then of course you mentioned weddings.
Yeah.
And so next month will be like right before my son gets married. So
Yes.
there'll probably be a lot of pre-wedding conversations you and I can have
Mm.
when we chat next month, the next
Gonna
time.
be a busy time, especially it's always cause for celebration when a test prep professional gets married.
That's right. That's right. There'll be a bunch of them.
That's right.
Getting married, siblings of, lots of test
Yeah.
prep people at
Siblings,
that
mother
wedding.
of the bride, friends of the
You
family.
got it. Yeah, it wouldn't be a gathering if there weren't some test prep in the mix,
Some really
right?
high test scores in that room.
There will be. Yes, those for sure. Some perfect scores in that room, I think. Yeah,
All right, Amy. Well, obviously, we could talk about ourselves all day, but that's all the time we have. So great speaking with you today,
it is always a pleasure, Mike.
Amy. The pleasure, as always, is mine.
Awesome. We hope you enjoyed this discussion as much as we did. Be sure to join us for another fascinating topic and guest on the next test and the rest.
Did you enjoy this episode as much as we did? Find expanded links and more for this and all of our episodes at our show page at testsandtherest.com. While you're there, be sure to explore everything the larger TestBright site has to offer, including real, expert, unbiased answers to the toughest admissions testing questions. Of course, we'd love for you to rate, review, and subscribe to Test and the Rest on your favorite podcast platform. If there's a topic or guest you'd like us to feature, just let us know and spread the word.